How's that talking? That's outside? Islam, boys. Islam. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the universe.
Father of love. Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. It was Holy Prophet. Noble Ali. Islam.
So, to the readings. Remember the readings now, right?
keep in mind these readings. Keep in mind these readings.
I was watching for the first little bit because I think he was doing a Ustream thing. You gotta go check it out at home. This is what you'd be listening to, but because the way Cujo was talking to him, it was like Cujo was beating the man up. I wanted to actually call Cujo and say, Cujo, you gotta take it easy on the bro, right? But what I realized is they'd already talked, so this was like sort of like this is almost like Cujo was holding a personal class with a guy who would just realize he'd just been scammed. Yeah. That's what this was. So when you hear it, these are the ones that you gotta, like, this is what I said. This is all gonna go into a little package that when our boys come down to start taking heads, we're gonna be giving them this JPEG. You know what I mean? And they'll be getting on that carpet, and the thing will just to camera. You go ahead.
Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your cards are for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their carding button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Ali. Islam.
Wow.
Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before all Moorish Americans. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, And on Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For this cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. All Moorish Americans must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish Americans is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of the children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. The things, how has the power on the AC there?
Right. Medium.
No, but what's the fan on?
Medium.
It's medium?
Why?
Touch it a little bit. Getting a little bit up here. I think with the
In the back there?
yeah. The Council of the Son of the World. So part of today is going over this interview or expose or whatever that we did with the Elder Winston Bey because of his interactions, and going a little bit more at just the importance of Moors who have this information and they're sincere with it, that their activity has to match these people. So this is how active these people are. Right? They're so active that they'll be at the courts, for example, giving out cards, flyers,
this is where I realized,
whatever.
This is where I realized that these guys are doing most of their interdiction. Is, you know, it's like the vultures. You're catching the people when they're injured.
Yeah.
Or when you're in a weakened state.
And then we know that the state of the people is definitely weakened, right? So they're just open to violating the people's rights, right? Regardless of how the people feel about it.
Listen to this when we play. It's crazy.
And then we're doing this because some of the Moors had some internet issues and whatever, and don't go on the internet and all that stuff. So we're just gonna play some of this, and any comments, thoughts, or whatever, just put pause. Yeah, we could pause or whatever.
So an hour and 5 minutes.
Hour 5. That they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their home, or on the streets. With the things that they did to you today at the office.
Okay, so pause. So the preamble to this is that Cujo's met with this gentleman who's obviously interdicted with these people, and then had an incident where those same criminals we're trying to, so it's the criminal now sort of feeding on one of their own criminal brethren who's really not a criminal, if you see what I'm saying. So it's the criminals have hired someone innocent, and now they're on this innocent guy because they're a bunch of criminals. They're now sort of suspecting that this guy must be a criminal. You know what I mean? It's that whole kind of like, well, I'm ripping someone off, and you must. Right? So that's what you're hearing me say with the incident that happened at the office. This is where all of this is coming out.
Would you call those agitating?
Well, agitating is what intimidating.
So he's like worse than that. That's worse than agitating.
It was intimidating.
Oh, okay. Let me just read that again when we were drawing in. Let me just read that again.
I think he
I
must have.
hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their home, or on the street. Now, if he's telling you sit down or whatever,
What's so funny? Your perspective. Do you listen to all of it, or you just listen to?
What?
You went through the whole thing already?
I listened to the whole thing, bro. The reason why that is Cujo starts ramping up because he's got the man's on the ropes, right? He's all punch drunk and shit. So Cujo's like, okay, let me read this for you again. So that's when he was reading that part again, right? So, yeah. Because you sort of.
Peace, Mocha.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, it's all good. Better late than never.
That's right. You know what I'm saying?
That's a speech he's giving to you. He's giving you an authoritative speech of knowing your place, basically, right?
Well, they were not only that. And then Cameron said to me, if you stand up, and this is my office, if you stand up, Winston, that's aggression. And I can beat you up. And I can charge you with assault.
You see,
You know,
If that is
so pause that again.
intimidation.
So they're obviously having like some kind of back and forth, and Winston goes to stand up, and then supposedly.
okay, well, just to back up you, so
Hold on, just to catch woke up, and we're not going to do this again. This is now another Moore who's come in from Cameron. Right. So what happened? The precursor to that was he got a phone call one day from guys saying, "I want to talk to you." So Cujo's like, "Okay, when do you want to meet?" "Right now." The man's 2 hours away. Right now. So the man drove 2 hours to meet Cujo. As Cujo starts hearing the guy talk, he's just going, "This guy says this guy's name. I'm going to lose it." Well, obviously he says his name. So now this is a guy now who has now been.
so they, because of how they were running their business, right? Because of how they were running their operation, they have certain jurisdictional powers over the people who join with them. So the actually president, but right. So so the whole thing with him and them going into this back and forth is because they said that they're gonna audit him. Right? They said they're gonna audit him, but remember, this is his office. This is the man's own office. That he took his office and he's letting them use his office for whatever. And because of them signing power of attorneys and stuff like that, they basically have jurisdiction over all this stuff. So they went there on some audit thing because people said that they sent money to him or whatever like that, and it didn't get there or whatever.
Almost like if you're dumb enough to sign power of attorney over something,
Oh yeah, you got guaranteed. Yeah. So and this is what we're explaining to them, or to the brother, so that when these people start calling him or whatever like that, but they're gonna start calling him, that you're telling them the same way you got it, right? Which is how I gave it to him. Just that like they never mentioned Taj, Harvey Day, Bacher. They never mentioned none of these people. They never talked. They don't exist. They're the only Moors out here. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's them or nobody else.
I thought what he'd said to that was, he'd said that when he asked about other Moors, that they said, "Oh, those guys don't matter." That wasn't that what he'd said? That
don't worry about them or whatever. They're not. Yeah.
They're not important to this.
It's true, they're not, because we're not in the business of taking people's money.
Where's the bucket?
Oh, yes, the little you can use that orange one over there. Huh?
Well, for now, but I think when we leave, we should put
Yeah.
So you guys got to hear this one, because I sat down for the first 20 minutes. It's one of their videos, so I was confused. But after this, it's one of the most. I think it's one of the clearest, most recent sort of indicators of where these guys are out in the East and what kind of nonsense they're up to. So,
What do you mean up the east?
Or in the West, you mean?
West.
Oh, okay. It had me scared.
Sorry, I meant West.
I don't know what it is.
No, I don't.
So, that's over and beyond agitating speeches then, right?
But that, yes, it's over beyond.
So,
I put up with that speeches.
all right.
But this was it's really,
All
this
right.
is what, it's scary.
So that would mean that they don't really honor noble duality then, right?
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. There's a lot more. You there, brother Yusuf?
So now he's brought a friend to help you.
Really?
Right?
Would you repeat that?
No, there's another more on the line. Yeah, another more on the line that's been listening that I told he's gonna be on there. He just had some stuff to do. But he's on now.
His name is?
Go ahead, one.
I'm very used to this one, okay.
Okay.
I guess it's
Right. So and then also too.
I don't know how much you heard, but what do you have?
So also the importance of like when we interact with people who are coming into this, that just like Brother Omar says, with people who are in business or whatever like that, you're gonna vet people first, right? We know that the people who are engaging with them, they didn't check, they didn't fact check, they didn't whatever they said, they just went with it. Just I don't know how, why. It's absolutely making no sense in how they're in interaction, but you're talking about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, things going on that should be suspect to anybody, and nobody's even paying attention to that because they don't even have the information to try to help free themselves. All they've gotten is things that they were told by these people. So when we interact with new people to the information, right? It's not wrong based on the experiences that we've had with dealing with people that check, just like how they'll check you if you're legit or whatever. Make sure you check these people. Are they really of sound mind or whatever? A certain activity, to me, demonstrates incompetence on the highest level. That if you're that incompetent, there might not be any real saving you like that. You know what I mean? And it's only because, of all the individuals that came to us with something about cameras, probably one, Rennie, Supreme, everybody else, once they heard out, they found out that's fraud or whatever, they jump ship, they have nothing to do with Moors anymore. We haven't seen them. Right? This elder's kind of holding on because he's sincere in that he wants to learn and help our people and whatever like that. You know what I mean? So he really wants the information to assist himself so that he can help assist other people, right? Brother Omar and then Brother Mark.
One of the things I had realized, which is, this is where I think the treasonous activity comes into it, and you brought it up when you said that basically most of the people that have sort of been scammed tend to then sort of.
Yeah.
So to me, the treason part about it is what he's done is he has besmirched or he has tainted or sullied what should be the lifeline for them now has become corrupted.
Right.
So basically what happens is the whole thing, like think about even that sister that called me about her brother that got taken for the $600 the farmer got.
Right.
Remember he was supposed to show up.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is it's almost like, oh, really eating tofu? Like, oh, I went over to this restaurant, they said it was tofu, it was actually meat. When we said, no, the tofu's over here, well, they're not having anything to do with tofu anymore.
Right.
Because the last time I went to tofu, there was meat. So this is what I'm sensing is where it really gets insidious because now these people think, or now it seems that a lot of them just don't want to have anything to do with it.
Right. Brother North.
You see, most of what I was about to say, but again, these people, for example, they looking for something, and they're already get connected to it, and the way to look to them at that time, or for them to get sucked in so much, that's fine. But now, you find out from the real source that these are the, like impersonators or but this is the real one now. And now, instead of you go to the real one now and get a real together now, maybe you're able to run into them some other time and you can put it on them too. But they did to you. But instead, they take off. So in other words, what were you looking for then? You know what I mean? What were you looking for? What were you looking for?
Well, this and this is part of the.
Now it's here. Because you talked about it, you didn't have. Now I'm here with it. You run to your problem.
Good.
And now you got. So you have a different motive. There's something else.
Good.
I know. And that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta be some other motive behind it. Why did it get caught into it in the first place?
Well, for example, there was one individual I spoke to who we'll say they're professional, right? They don't have no issues. They got God. This is what I said about the thing with the incompetence. Because if you have no issues, how you still get caught up in something like that? Like how it doesn't match up. You know what I mean? Either they're using some good bait to get these people, right? Which then we are okay. Well, what's the bait that they're using? What kind of bait are you putting out to get somebody who's a professional to go into foreclosure because of some papers that they heard or they saw some video or whatever like that has them going all over the place, right?
My question though is, this has been going on for some time. So if they can hear about them, have they not also heard about us? You know what I'm saying? They must have heard about us. And if they've heard about us, then the reason they go to them is because they're telling them things they want to hear. We're going to get you off, we're going to fix your credit, we're going to do all these things for you. We don't lie to people. We don't say we're going to do all these things, but people are looking for the easy way out. They're in a problem maybe, and they want to try to get out. So they figure, okay, these guys are my saviors. They're going to do it for me. We ain't trying to be nobody's savior over here. We can put that on the record right now. You come to us, and we're going to show you how you can save yourself. But we're not trying to take your money and promise you a whole lot of, we're never going to do it. Sarah. But the same way they heard about the others, I'm pretty sure after 10 years, because you've been around a lot longer than they have, you must have heard about us too. That's all I'm saying. But if you don't want to put in the work and do the studying, then you're going to always be somebody's slave. Right. That's what it boils down to. You're always going to be somebody's slave.
The Council of the Seven of the World. Go ahead, Marcel.
Last thing I was going to say was that I keep on talking about. Oh, which is along the lines of what Mocha had been saying, which was that
which was that basically, in terms of how this, as a sort of as a paradigm that is reflective of the sorcery that is involved. These other guys are offering them solutions just for some fiat, which is obviously nothing, but still it's energy. Ultimately, when they get put onto the real path, they realize that path is an
uphill, narrow.
It's an uphill, narrow thing where you're gonna have to be clearing out the weeds. And doing all this thing.
It's not the
I think
401 or whatever.
I think that is another component as to why. I think that's another component as to why we lose a lot of people, because the alternative is even harder. The truth. Once they've been given the truth, it's even harder than the lie that they've been given. Because they gotta do some work and some study. Right? So you were fooled on one side, you can pay some money to get something, which in their heart of hearts they knew was true. And then they realize they got ripped off. Now when they realize what the truth is even harder than the work that they have to do. So at that point they gotta lay down. Right? Because it's like, well, I got into this because I want to take a shortcut to begin with. And now the shortcut is turned into an even longer route than the route that I was taking.
Or maybe they weren't even taking a route.
Well, whatever it may be.
Whatever it is, but
yeah.
Chapter 8 of Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood. The Council of the Seven of the World. In every age since time began, but 7 sages lived. At first of every age, these sages met to note the course of nations, people, tribes, and tongues. To note how far toward justice and love the race has gone. To formulate the code of law, religious postulates, and plans of rule best suited to the coming age. An age had passed, and lo, another age had come. The sages must convene. Now Alexandria was the center of the world's best thought, and here in Philo's home the sages met. From China came Mengsti, from India Vidyapati came, from Persia Casper came, and from Assyria Ashbina came. From Greece Apollo came, Methina was the Egyptian sage, and Philo was the chief of Hebrew thought. The time was due, the council met and sat in silence 7 days. And then Mengsti rose and said, the wheel of time has turned once more. The race is on a higher plane of thought. The garments that our fathers wore have given up. The cherubim have woven a celestial cloth, have placed it in our hands, and we must make for men new guards. The sons of men are looking for greater light. No longer do they care for gods hewn out of wood. They seek for a law not made with hands. They see the beams of coming days and yet comprehend them not. The time is ripe, and we must fashion these garments for the race. And let us make for men new garbs of justice, mercy, love, that they may hide their nakedness when shines the light of coming days. And Vidyapati said, our priests have all gone mad. They saw a demon in the wild, and at him cast their lamps. And they are broken up, and not a gleam of light has any priest for men. The night is dark. The heart of India calls for light. The priesthood cannot be reformed. It is already dead. Its greatest needs are graves and funeral chants. The new age calls for liberty, the kind that makes each man a priest, enables him to go alone and lay his offerings on the shrine of Allah. And Casper said, in Persia, people walk in fear. They do the good for fear to do the wrong. The devil is the greatest power in our land, and though a myth, it dangles on his knees both youth and age. Our land is dark, and evil prospers in the dark. Fear rides on every passing breeze and lurks in every form of life. The fear of evil is a myth, is an illusion, a snare, but it will live until some mighty power shall come to raise the ethers to the plane of light. When this shall come to pass, the Magian land will glory in the light. The soul of Persia calls for light. So again,
to back up what Moko is saying. The new age calls for liberty. And because of this new age of liberty, that makes each man their own priest. So there shouldn't be anybody who says that they're a more that's looking for somebody else to do whatever for them.
It's wrong.
Other than give them some reference points to get them in the right direction. But there shouldn't be this idea of we are taking the role because we have the light that we're gonna lead people with the light that we have. No, give them light, let them lead themselves. Right? Now again, we have the signals that we have to employ, but as well others have to look for when they're looking for things. Oh yeah, everything's downstairs, put away or whatever. Yeah, forgot. Right. So one of the things that always have to be mentioned, brought up, put on the record is Prophet Moses. If he's not mentioned, if he's not talked about by somebody, like for example, you go on YouTube and somebody's talking about 5 hours, there are more, they never mentioned Noble Trolley once, it's probably a problem there. Right? If you're presenting Noble Trolley to people and they're avoiding it, and all they want to know about is taxes or licenses or how do I go on the plane because I can't fly and all this type of stuff. You already know that where their intentions are. Because the greatest thing that we could do is acknowledge our foremothers and forefathers. And if we were given something so brilliant by Noble Drew Ali, it's only right that we give him his due props, especially since we know that people don't talk about him and nobody brings him up even if they know. We have a certain obligation now to make sure that we put his name out there so that it's known who this individual is.
Everybody that I always tell people, because they said, we know about Muhammad, Selassie, Marcus Garvey, all these guys. But how come we never heard of the one that gave us our birthright instead of our birth certificate? Important thing is that. How come we never heard of that man? Never hear of it. We hear always.
Just to camel back off what you're saying, for you to just go a little bit further on the idea of like when you came into this and then you finding out about Noble Drew Ali and how that shifted, your movements. If you could just talk a bit on that, just the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. It's not being black, and then in relation to putting your family on and them not really gravitating to it unless it was sis, who she was pretty much the only one out of everybody. And then at the last stage, mom got on board because you can't really fight the truth when the prophets.
My youngest brother now, he's the one on board right now. And and him because when I go home now and they see me and I try to tell them, but he cannot like how I acknowledge it, because this is like it's in you looking for something. If you wasn't looking for nothing, it's even harder for you. Because when I grew up in the church, so I know at least I know something about religion and whatever they say it is. And now when I come to find out about Noble Drew Ali that I never heard about. And the same birthright, the Bible and my mother discussed that Bible with the birthright. Now I could just bring back that to my mother and say, Mama, the same one we're talking about. It's us. Remember now we have birth certificate? And and my mother get it, and my little brother, he's seen, it's like common sense, they say when I talk to him. So I figure it out. And he's asking me, I don't know what happened to this one, but I don't know. I can't even talk to them. Or whenever I try to talk to them, it's like they think I'm crazy. No, they say I come to one these crazy down here. And my mother doesn't say that. My mother said, why don't they try acting like you? My mother, and from the day I know her, she's joking. And in the end of her last day, she said, why don't they try acting like you? Try acting like you. Because you have something wrong. We never hear it.
Yeah, for real.
We never heard of this. And it only makes sense. And that's why I like that piece. So I like that. Those are the words from my mother. So this, it's like you have to find another noble drawing to get in my way. Another noble drawing that's more than noble drawing. There's no such thing. There's no such thing.
That's love.
They will always see me shining. So they will, whoever gonna catch on will catch you.
We'll catch on.
They will. Because they ain't gonna stop my life from shining. They gonna stop.
What's on your mind state, or what, based on what you heard so far?
It's love.
Just so the elder can get a perspective on how we think opposed to how the other people that are doing the BS like this.
Right. Now, just real quickly to the elders, the prophet, the basic thing is the 5 principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Just off of what you just spoke of with the last few words, none of that was love. No was love. And I know this for a fact, that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I saw nothing of that. And therefore I have to say that type of attitude did not demonstrate the Spirit of God. Right. Right. Because even when he was showing in there, the prophet says that according to the Constitution, what he was doing to you was criminal. To give you those threatening manners, because he's threatening your life. That's criminal. That's a charge in itself. For him breaking the 5 principles, you already know you should enforce justice because he broke the love, truth, and the peace. Because I caught the ending, so but the ending part just alone with the story was amazing. Just because I've never heard Morris going to that extent. It just seems incredible, man. That's incredible. I've never heard Morris do anything like that. That's criminal, and that's your own. And that's the other thing that has to be amazing too, because it's not even a European who we say is the enemy that's doing it. It's a Moor. That's right. It's a Moor language. It baffles me because I'm saying that I don't get this. It doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm dreaming. I didn't get out of bed yet. My mind is just going all over the place. And I'm saying, I don't get this. And therefore, I said, okay, you know what? Hey guys, could I have my phone back? No, you can't have your phone. I said, I should do so. It's a phone call. Let me phone. Give us a right here. You know what I mean?
We're asking for us, right?
Sorry, buddy. What?
So, because of we make sure that if there's any discrepancy in our own
learning, right? That we go to the online university, RPA publications, and seek some direction in what we're trying to find out. For any Moors, regardless of who they are or whatever, for any Moors to know that this exists and not give it as a reference point to others is just as criminal as them locking the Moor in the room or whatever, tell him you can't leave, give me your phone and all that. Right, it's just as criminal. Because whether they say it or not, everybody went here if they got a fez on, turban on. Everybody went here at least once. Everybody. Anybody who says that they're more and they're out here teaching or whatever like that, and they've been doing, our type of 10 years, 5 years or whatever, they've been here. And for them not to give this out lets you know where their intentions are. Because everything here, other than the books or whatever like that, is free. And then the books on there, 10, 50 notes is still free. So you're not going on there and getting no $500 books or whatever, right? The longevity of this is why we present this. Because other than Hakeem Bey, who he doesn't have Morris Paradigm website or anything like that anymore, but had it when this was around initially. Other than Pleasant Bay, Seven Seals Publications, there was nobody else that we could get this info from online, unless you were going to a class to sit there personally with these teachers, or you got the DVD or the VHS or whatever. And the whole idea of this coming about.
Look at Damien.
Oh, yeah, so you got the good bread this week. We got one up on him this week.
This has got to be the
What's he drinking? What you got to drink? Oh, you didn't get to the drink yet. Okay. RBA Publications is
A university.
Primary school, junior high school, community college, whatever, spiritual, whatever, retreat to go to the ethers or whatever, everything's there. They took away a lot of people's finance.
Not them.
Yeah, not them. Not them taken away. Like they took away people who were charging finance. They couldn't charge anymore because this site was out. And they weren't holding back what they were putting out. There was no limit to what could be presented. Everything and anything relative to Moors got presented. Right? So use that as a sign. Use that as, even early out, we would be going onto this website. They have their own little brochures, flyers, and stuff like that they used to give out. Now everything's digital. But that doesn't mean you can't download those things and print those flyers out. You don't have to make your own flyers to promote the Moorish movement. It's not like you're printing out a flyer and it's gonna, say RV Bay Publications on it, and now I don't represent them and all this type of stuff. It's just information on a PDF form that you can just download, make copies of, and give them out. So you don't have to be dealing with trying to teach people on the spot and these things which get people caught up. Because again, everybody's gonna be down for the Moorish movement until their situation gets resolved, and then let's see where they're at. Right? The 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. When any of these are violated, justice must then take its course. Always, the teacher, the student, has to resonate on love being the highest principle. especially that is first. That should be the approach. That should be what's expected. That you see some, it's like when we went to Springfield, and Brother Yusuf had some issues with some Hebrews out there, but they have the #1 restaurant out there, right? Top of the line, vegan cuisine, whatever like that, right? Just because of the Hebrew violating this is why we yielded from going to that spot to eat. Now people are gonna look at it, oh, no more support and all that stuff. You support your brother. That's why the more is this and that. But if you're not dealing with us in our principles, we don't have to deal with you. Especially when we know that you should be coming to us on these principles. So for example, or the example is when we were going to the spot, when we were approaching the spot, the Hebrew was outside the spot. And as soon as we hit the corner and walking toward the spot, Yusuf was like, let's just go somewhere else. Right? That's what's on. Whatever it might be. Now, the day after, we went to a place, what's the name of it? Went to a park, like Morningside Park or one of them spots. We went to one of those spots, something like that. So we're walking through there, and maybe about from here to maybe past the patty shop. He's seen a brother, and he's like, "Yo, is that the brother right there or whatever like that? I think that's one of the Hebrews or whatever." And as we move closer, the Hebrew saw the Moors, and the Hebrew was like, ran across the street or whatever like that. How you doing? And then that's what Yusuf exposed. That's why I didn't go eat at the spot.
That's how who?
That's why you didn't go eat at the Hebrew spot.
Why?
Because the Hebrew guy at the spot should have been just like this guy when he saw the Moors.
Nice.
You're not supposed to be, you see Moors and you're just, because we're an anomaly. You don't really see Moors like that, especially in that jurisdiction where, Yusuf, there's a couple other Moors there, but those are probably the only like active Moors where they're fez all the time, turban, whatever like that. They're out here, they might not be in the court or whatever, but they're actively, throughout the community, right? So for that Hebrew to see 2 Moors, 3 Moors, 4 Moors at one time, what is going on here, right? That wasn't the reaction of the brother, because when he saw us, he just carried on with whatever he was doing, right? And then what backed that up again was we went to, they had a festival called Harambe, just like an Afrofest type of festival. So we're at that, and then when we're leaving, the same Hebrew at the store or whatever, all the Moors are walking, we had people we don't know running up to us. Oh, Islam Moors. All right, yeah, Islam. It's really like that? No, it's not like that. This is what Yusuf said. It's only like this because they're seeing Moors in numbers. They don't see, they always only see me or see some other Moor. Now they're seeing a group of Moors together. This must be a big deal, right? NOI running up to us because it was actually them who co-sponsored the Harambe event, and they were also doing security at the event. So they were walking around the thing, whatever like that. They were coming up to us, saying, "Hey, you guys are the foundation of all this," and it wasn't like how the online stuff is or whatever with regard to Noble Drew Ali and all that. They were well aware. They were well open with it. It wasn't some fight.
Yeah.
The Moors are here. Oh well, we got everybody was running up just to say what's up to the Moors, right? Leave the spot, and again going back to that same thing of if they're not dealing with us on law, we have a right not to deal with them, right? Because that's supposed to be the standard generally just with our people, that we approach, deal with each other in love. See your brother, say, "What's up, brother?" Whether you know him or not. Whether that guy does a screw face or doesn't say anything or looks at you funny or says whatever back, that's on them. but at least you know you approach them on the principles. More Sada Hebrew do. There's Hebrew guy right there. He pulled the corner or whatever, seen us, and he gave us the, hand on the thing. Didn't even look at anybody, just put his hand, drove by or whatever. And then, going to the sea. That's why. That's why we can't get along with these people. It's not because how Morris talk or because we don't want to be black and all that stuff. It's because a lot of these people, they don't have love in them like that. When Morris have love in them, they don't have love in them like that. And this is something that when we start doing research on love from the vibration of it and the weight that it carries and how important it actually is, even just in your everyday life. If you don't have turban or fez, this is just some stuff you might tell your girlfriend at night or whatever. It's not a real living entity, right? Being that it's a principle, right? Truth, going back again with if the elder, Brother Winston, had received this, they would have known about us. Obviously, they got lied to if they don't know who we are. Right? Being that, we're the ones that are the reason why anybody's saying that there are more out here.
You're the foundation of this movement on this land mass right here, as far as Canaanland is concerned. So that needs to go on the record.
Islam.
Anybody who's watching.
Yeah, that means if you're coming from another source, it's not a rest.
That's right.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
There's definitely something wrong, regardless of what.
And the thing about love, Cujo, is once you make a conscious decision to operate with love, you can change any dynamic anywhere you go. Anywhere you go. It doesn't matter where you go, where you are, what kind of situation you're going into. You go in, it's like some sort of an armor. It's some sort of it's a really, really powerful thing. And I guess maybe some people don't understand that, regardless of who they are. They don't understand it. And they don't understand that if you're not dealing with love, then whatever it is that you're dealing with is not going to come up, the result is not going to be a good one.
No.
Because you're always supposed to operate from love. And I'm not saying you're supposed to, when people don't love you or they're your enemy and all that kind of thing, you don't have to deal with them. You don't have to put up with any of their BS. But if you go in with an attitude of love, an intention of love, you always make the situation better,
Right.
no matter what it is.
That's it. Any other comments, questions?
Keep laying out, keep laying
Yeah,
out.
and I was just because we have this joke that whenever we correct blacks, Africans, or whatever like that, we'll have some whole video to go look at, and we might only get through 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? We only been through 4 minutes of this so far. We didn't get anywhere.
And I tried to look, well, it's just a guy. No, one of the guys, his name is Noble Ryan. He says, I am master in arms, and I should bring my handcuffs and handcuffs and take you out of this place. And I said, well, look, I said, do they have rights? No, you have no rights. Slavery.
Oh, slavery. So this guy supposedly too, just for the FYI, was their accountant.
And he was the guy for this.
He was their accountant. He'd been elder who got them an office space like this to operate out of. And then he was sort of the man, like how we wanted to have someone here Monday through Friday. He was that guy, dealing with all the people coming in and out of the building, taking in all the finance, keeping all the track of everything. And then obviously, like you said, it's like the rats turned on each other. And then they were about to handcuff him for I guess challenging them because he finally understood that something was up. So in challenging them on that, all of a sudden they split the script and then started saying that anything that he would do to show any kind of resistance would be interpreted as sort of an attack on them.
Like resisting arrest, when they got you down on the ground.
Yeah.
So if
You're
you
resisting.
if you're to stand up to talk to them, then they're going to put you in handcuffs.
Yeah.
So that's exactly. So he's now describing what happened because what they basically did was,
Yeah.
stop it, bro. Who realizes this is like, this is like watching a fight. This is like watching a fight, and you know when you slow it down in slow motion. Painful. I actually recall and put Cujo on blast for the way he was beating the man up. It was all sort of already orchestrated. So, so
No phone home? That's a violation. Right?
I still don't get it up to this time. I still don't. I'm trying to, how you call to go this in my thinking to figure out what type of attitude is this. You know what I mean?
No, it's not nothing to figure out. Stop thinking about it. Go study.
that was an uppercut.
Just because you mentioned attitude, I remember.
That was an uppercut right there.
This is just quotes on attitude. An optimist is someone who goes after Moby Dick in a rowboat and takes the tartar sauce with him.
Takes the what?
Tartar sauce. Tartar sauce. The fish sauce.
So say he's really
Attitudes are more important than aptitudes. Think you can or think you can't. Either way, you will be right. There is a little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative. I am an optimist. It does not seem too much use being anything else. Sometimes only a change of viewpoint is needed to convert a tiresome duty into an interesting opportunity. I'm only an average man, but I work harder at it than the average man. The size of man can be measured by the size of the thing that makes him angry. I have the power to choose how I will live and think today. Consistency is the last refuge of the unimaginative. Courage is fear holding on a minute longer. Defeat isn't bitter if you don't swallow it. My left is broken, my right is shattered. Therefore, I will advance with the center. Just some quotes on attitude.
So let's just go back to this to be read every meeting thing so you can get a better perspective. Right. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. Now, how do you find out about the temple again?
I found out about the temple because my wife said, honey, there's going to be other people besides Cameron and his team. If this is America and everything else, and she could have found other malls in Toronto to sack these guys. And she went on, she decided to go do some searching. And she said, my gosh, there's a temple in on Edmonton. You better get up there and go check this stuff. And don't come back home if you do that. And then he said, you know, well, after 44 years of marriage, what do you want me to say? I want to know about it.
It's always the one.
I was listening to this home, I couldn't turn the thing off. I was
Yo,
okay.
it was too good. It was too good. Going back again to RV publications and us and you know where people get their information. The pattern that we've had is to make sure that we give honors to where we got the information from. So you know, we've gotten information. If you use, for example, Asir the Duke of Tears, for example, he's somebody who he has his own closed door classes. Stuff doesn't go online, right? You sign up for those, you go to those classes on your own time, whatever, right? We know that as far as his information, that it's credible. So we'll honor the fact that people would go there and learn, even though they're in our temple. We don't have to know that they go there. You know what I mean? It's not a thing of we own people like that where we're gonna tell you can't go learn from them. Only people we tell you not to go learn from is dirty people. But people who are writing exactly their information, studious, you know, giving you the proper reference points, giving you the information that you need for whatever it is that you're dealing with, and it's from a sincere perspective. Yes, go to them and go learn, right? For us, it's doing what Noble Drew Ali said, honoring our foremothers and forefathers. The people who we learn from are our foremothers and forefathers with regard to this information. The Ivan Van Sertima's and the Booker T. Coleman's, the Francis Cresswell Sings, the you know, whether they're here or not, the Phil Valentines, or whoever they are that we learn from, right? There are ancients. There are our master's feet that we sat at to learn. And trust me, we fact check everything that those people presented. And in fact checking everything, we found out so much more stuff that we had to with the fact that, yeah, these people are who they say they are. So let's honor them. Let's contact RV Bay Publications and let's get ourselves connected with them, not just in words and whatever like that, but actually Canaanland Moors being on the website. You know, us being represented in classes that they've been doing before us. That, you know, on the other side of it, they saw the importance of what we were doing and said, sure, come on in, because it's reciprocal, right? Once you give, you're going to get in return, but you have no idea what you're going to get if you don't give on some type of level. And the best thing we can do is give honors. The cheapest thing we can do is give honors. It costs nothing. It costs absolutely nothing for them to say, well, you know, there is a temple here or whatever. You can choose to go if you want to or whatever like that. But to not mention us at all, knowing that they came from out of here, is corrupt. To not mention us at all, knowing that when we had that spot across the street, they had a spot, you know, 4 doors down or whatever like that they were doing their own classes on different days of the week, and not give us any mention is criminal, is treasonous, because they're going to be mentioning people who aren't from here. They're going to be taking these people's information and sending it to Chicago or whatever like that to people who have nothing to do with this jurisdiction. Well, Omar.
No, I was just saying that you're part of the thing I think that needs to continue to be sort of probably observed is that their intention is not correct. Therefore, they're not going to want to allude to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, your expectation that they would mention this is counterintuitive to them doing what They do.
Right.
And you're not going to tell them.
No, it's not expectation on.
No, I know. I'm just sort of putting it out there that there's no way they're going to want to tell you about the truth while they're lying to you.
Right.
We're telling you where to go find the truth.
And there's lies of omission and lies of commission. And just because they didn't say that something bad about us, the fact that they didn't mention us and our everyday publications and all these, really righteous people and organizations, that's called a lie of omission.
Yeah.
And it's just as bad as a lie of commission.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is that the platform that you're going on is the expectation that somehow that would be a natural response to someone wanting to sort of head towards the light. Since these people are really sort of wallowing in the darkness and in the misery, then any, you're trying to apply something to something that it's not, those two things can't go together because they obviously have to then disappear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I decided I want to come back home. And that's why I came up to see you.
No. If based on what we just read, or based on what you just said, wouldn't that be them holding malicious feelings toward the temple by not telling you about it?
Well, not only that, if every meeting that we had every Sunday and every Saturday that was shared by camera, and he read the proclamation of Drew Ali, that would have brought everybody, in an atmosphere of grace.
Let's carry on. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cardan button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali.
Send that for me, will you? I want to read it again and again and again and again.
Is that brother Eugene?
I tell you, you blew my mind today. This is very edifying. It's very eye-opening.
That's the whole point.
I'm humbled by what has been expressed this evening. God knows I owe no animosity to either, what you call it, Judge Morris or
never.
Or any, I feel pity and sadness, but I am more prepared than ever before to make things as right as I can, because I feel that my role, what I really want to accomplish is this: how do I glorify God with my life and my resources, to bless my family, to bless my fellow man, to spread the good news of the gospel, and how to leave a legacy for my children's children. And I believe that I would love to be a servant of the people, serving God and serving people. And there are a lot of good people out there, especially our people. There are a lot of things they don't know. And I just want to stand in the gap and at least shed some light.
Let me shed some light again. Here's another one by Noble Drew Ali. The member said that there were 3 things they were supposed to read before every meeting that obviously they didn't do. This one, it's not the other one was edifying. This one should touch you. To be proclaimed at every meeting. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Juali. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. That's why they push his name but never read his stuff. Because they know they have to put, they have to call it Juali Learning Center, because it's going to fail if they don't.
Because I can tell you right now, if you wanted to, I could give you a phone number, and you can phone that number where we always have our meetings, okay? And I would say this, that they have a mantra or chat, if you want to call it that, and it is more or less to the beat of rap, and they mentioned Juali in this rap music, but it has nothing to do with how should I put it? With what you talked about. That's what the Prophet Juali has mentioned in those two proclamations there. And really, if you were to, there's a number 647 794 0898. 647 794 0898. And that is the number that we call in for this online class. You might be lucky to call that number now or sometime later. All you're going to have, some rap artist rapping about Juali and, we are free now and all that. That's what I would have loved if they had recorded any of the proclamations Juali, so people will hear that all the time when they phone it on this number.
Right. Oh yeah, let me read this other one. Islam. This is the instruction from your prophet, Noble Juali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Juali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see. Ears to hear, but cannot hear. Least they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Morris, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your profit. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Juali.
Well, I tell you, I'm now going back to kindergarten.
That's the point.
I'm now going back to my age.
That's the point.
But I am not ashamed because somebody needs to go to the back of the class and start all over again, get things right.
Right.
And it's not wrong with that.
No. Did you get to read the name correction and the judicial proclamation?
The name correction and I began that. I copied off the information there. I was very much impressed with the fact how condensed it was compared to the over 50 or 60 pages I have here. With one of the clans and
Right. So part of that now is that opposed to, okay, for example, like you said, what RBB did is that they condensed the nationality process to 7 pages. Correct your name, and then take that corrected name, put it on this judicial proclamation, now proclaim who you are, and then go be yourself. Whereas prior paperwork, they just took what they had, and then they found somebody else stuff, and then they added on to that. So now they got, they initially had 20-something pages. When he said 6 pages, I'm like, 60 pages? They only got 20 pages from us, right? So we used to have the 20-page document till we switched over to using what RBB because to be in harmony with Great Seal and all that. Why use a 22-page thing? You're gonna have to copy this. You're gonna have to whatever. 10 people, 22 pages, registered mail by weight and all that stuff. Like you're gonna go broke. You didn't even put anything out yet, right? So the whole 50-page thing is this compilation of things, which includes, power of attorney, authenticate the birth certificate, rescission of signature, affidavit of whatever for the affidavit of diplomatic or whatever like that, affidavit of whatever, name correction, whatever would be in the package initially, plus stuff that they just compile on top of that, on top of that, on top of that, which again is totally outside of the process, because these people have these 50 papers, they have this nationality card, but they don't have a fez in the nationality card, for example, right? Like he showed me his nationality card, no fez on, right? Name written in lowercase, everything in lowercase, right? The having the card without the knowledge is makes the card useless, right? Because you have to be able to like what they say, demonstrate what you know. If you can't verbalize what you know, then you probably shouldn't have any cards, papers, or anything like that yet, because you're not ready. Which is his thing with going back to kindergarten and all that stuff, because he realized that he got nothing, and a lot of paper to make it look like it's something, but like more in the chat said, even if there's no paper, still a more. Because there ain't no paper that's going to make you be that. Or it's not a card that's going to make you be that. It's you taking information, learning the information, and then being what it is just like anything else. Just like how when they said about audit, and the brother knew that he was supremely competent in accounting. So his papers are going to be straight. Like, you got to audit, cover audit. And my thing was like, no, it's not about cover on an audit because your stuff's straight. Where they get jurisdiction to audit you if you don't even have a position with them. You're just doing them a favor because they gave you some papers. You're not a member of their whatever. He's like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, that is my office and all this. I'm like, yeah, like, what do you mean audit you? Like, what the hell are you talking about? They're auditing you, and you're not auditing them, or you can't call an audit on them after you have the book showing, okay, well, this lady paid on this date, and up to date, she never got anything yet based on what she paid for, and nobody's not auditing them. Right? Yeah, man.
Yeah, before I found out about this, before I knew Judge Morris was Judge Morris, he was arguing with me. He accused me of just because I studied for marketing or whatever. I have some kind of knowledge. He's saying that doesn't give me the authority to push him aside. I'm like, I'm not pushing you aside. So I realized what you're saying with what I know. He wasn't able to get to me. So he was saying, so I said, right now I feel like you're
ignoring him or whatever. Yeah.
Insulting me, because if you were somebody else and you put in part of your day, you want to study, you did study, why would you say I'm pushing you aside?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's trying to use the love on me. He's trying to use the love, so he said, if I love, I should let them do what they want. So he said, who gave you that authority? So I said, wait, if I'm not through my blackness yet.
Yeah.
I haven't fully come to be a full Mormon.
Right.
I still have some black, and I have hate in me too.
Right.
So I'm using the hate on you. I said, if I'm studying and you're telling me that you're doing something, you didn't tell somebody about their birthright. I said, maybe this is ancestry coming up. I haven't fully come out of the black state yet. So don't come to me like I'm fully a Mormon, and I'm going to be so loving with you. Yeah. So I was roughing him up. So he's telling me, oh, because you learn some knowledge, you think you have some knowledge, you got to give the right to show me aside. But I said, I'm not showing you aside.
Right.
Then he said, he's telling me if I want to help. I said, help. I never thought. I said, you were in this in 2014. I don't remember me telling you I'm going to help you do nothing in study.
Yeah.
You brought me in this. I said, you brought me. I never prepared myself telling you I want to help you.
Yeah.
So I didn't know where this was coming from before I knew what Judge Morris.
Mm.
So he was trying to get me to write something. Why didn't I stop talking? I said, but you're short in your face. I told you everything in your face. I didn't tell talk to you on the phone.
Yeah.
I came to you and I faced you. I said, if you have anything, I don't have to write anything to you. When since I have to write anything in contract, all I'm going to do, you know.
Yeah.
And when it was before, so trying to get me into what this guy is.
Yeah.
Trying to get me to sign something to bring this stuff on me, which probably wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who we can't even.
Yeah.
But you were accusing me of putting them aside with knowledge and all this. I was saying, buddy, if everybody knows about RBB, why would I have knowledge more than you?
Exactly. If anybody could go there and study.
You ran into those folks before you came up.
I went to Cambridge. Steve Mice brought me there.
Before you met us.
Yeah.
So when you had the sense to see that,
I think I agree more than.
yeah. But it's sad that people meet him and fall under his spell. And they don't ask him,
I was asking questions, and I said, if you know so much, how come you don't do this yet? So once he stopped here, I realized, and I said, okay, for what I see you have here, which I didn't know about here yet, I'm saying this information that you have, you should have a center. A learning center. He said, yeah, that's what you're going to make a class now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing this before, and we'll make a class. So, yeah, man. Then I start questioning this guy, and I see hiding around the books, he's running around some other planet, or a dictionary word. So I come back to him, that this is the books. So I don't know, I said, Mike, you heard of this guy, you never asked me anything. So I keep asking him stuff. It's like when I met Morris, because by the time I met Morris, he said, maybe like next week, I've already gone to the site and started looking at stuff.
Right,
So
right.
there was I have a notebook with me full of notes.
Right. And that was the difference. That was the difference.
Everybody else, I was asking questions.
Yeah.
I was putting stuff in that he knew about, but he wasn't studying.
Yeah.
He looked like he picked up from what people studying.
Right, yeah. Use whatever he understands or whatever.
Yeah, so I was kind of on them questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he couldn't get me. As soon as he said, the mortgage is not good, and like that, I said, you have a mortgage? Have you done anything? He stopped there and left him. So, and I called him a couple times, I didn't hear him. That was it for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Jordan Morris. That's crazy. Jordan Morris.
Judge.
It's crazy.
Crazy, eh? It's not even over yet, though.
Crazy.
Who just wanting to
It's a matter of what is called going back to basics, so I can get back on track. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, what I'm gonna do too is I'll send you the playlist for our series of classes called Back to Basics.
All right, so back to basics.
Right.
Back to basics.
And again, it's not regression.
No, it's not. It's a matter of filling in. It's like we get it together with a picture. We're putting the jigsaw puzzle together. What happens? Some vital parts were left out that will create the whole mosaic, the whole picture. And I have parts of it. I need to go and find those pieces and put it together to see the whole picture.
Exactly.
You know? In the meantime, there are people I began serving that I can help, that I can change their perspective and give them, an adjustment. It's like trying to make a cake and there was some vital ingredients left out or wasn't added, and therefore the cake doesn't have the consistency that it should. But thanks to God, it's not in the oven baking it yet. You can add those ingredients to bring out the true flavor of the cake.
Exactly. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is how did the birth certificate come along?
The authentication of the birth certificate?
Yeah.
I have never done that for myself, but yes, I did
what?
have a copy of the original one from Trinidad years ago, and my plan was now to go to the consulate of Trinidad and Tobago and to ask them to have it authenticated, which I understand that they have to send it back to Trinidad and have it stamped and everything else. So I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Well, don't go doing that because there's no authenticating that gives you some authority. Because you're authenticating. You're the one getting something authenticated.
Well, I was told that if it's the only way in which you'll be able to put your birth certificate into the trunk, and you can actually advertise the birth certificate really upon.
Right now, did you create the body?
No, the body was created by the British.
Oh, those are called.
Every child born into the British Empire, which was developed, which is a bond, and you have the ability to have that bond authenticated by having the registrar, at the country where you were born. to put the initial stamp and seal of approval on it.
Now what if I told you that the bond that they mean is slavery?
Well, I was told
No. Don't worry about what you were told by them.
See, that was a backhand right there.
When
Every
it
time I'm
comes to
listening to
Asiatic,
why is he punching this guy out like this?
well, dark-skinned people,
Mhm.
anytime they mention bond with dark-skinned people, they're talking about concentration camp. They're talking about ghetto. They're talking about you're in the line for extermination. Would you go authenticate it?
No,
How come?
if that is what it's for, what I interpret proposed, I will not take it. The potential thing bonded,
Oh,
I think it's brilliant.
oh, that's why Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, be yourself. Because that's really the authentication. You authenticating yourself. Islam, brother Yusuf.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to add on real quick. Coming out of the etymology dictionary, the definition of bonds, adjectives, 13th century, is in a state of serf, unfree from bond. Islam. So it means slavery. In a state of unfree. It says in a state of serf. Serf is smiling. Serf is slavery. It's bondage. It's a bond.
But then for us, that slavery is calling ourselves something that we're not. So bond would be slavery in the context of authenticate the birth certificate, because they don't mean bond as in paper. They mean bond as in you're a serf. But it hurts Asiatics worse when they go do that. Europeans could go do that all day, authenticate birth certificate, because they're European. But by us being Moors, who are supposed to be L's and B's and D's and Al's and Ali's, but we're saying we're Johnson and Jeffrey and Neil and we're going to authenticate that birth certificate. We're authenticating ourselves twice to them, because we're claiming the birth certificate and we're also claiming that name that's not ours, which puts us in double slavery. And then for the pyramid or for the triune, right? So remember, they have the card or the bond or whatever, that's the slavery. Then they have the name, that's the slavery. And then the last slavery, in order for them to make the pyramid to lock us in, is the mental slavery.
The what?
The mental slavery.
Mental slavery. Okay.
Not the slavery with shackles. Forget shackles. The slavery where you don't even have your own mind. Somebody else has it.
That's the word slavery. Shackle slavery is easy slavery. At least you know you're in slavery, but in shackles. Slavery of the mind is worse.
Because you have no clue that you're a slave when you're a mental slave.
What the area say? The hardest thing she ever had to do was try to free a slave who didn't know that they were a slave. It's in the mind. These people don't even know that they are slaves. But if I can continue adding on too, because I heard earlier you mentioned how you was the president.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words that were colored too, because Modern Dictionary, a president is now 14th century is an appointed governor of a province, right? Of a province. Now, when you look up province in the E-Time Modern Dictionary, it's the hold on, I want to get it right. 13th century, and now directly from Latin, provincia, territory outside Italy, under Roman domination. So, a president is someone who's under Roman domination.
Somewhere outside Rome.
By definition. That's not, what we saying, and then I'm just reading the definition. It's like, you can start seeing where the real fraud is at when you just start using dictionaries like the president. That's not for sure. You already know that somebody's playing games by the titles they're calling themselves. I already heard president earlier say, okay, they practicing denationalization. Because as more as we're not dealing with presidents, that's Roman domination. By definition.
Not by what Morris said, or what this channel says.
Okay.
By the definition of the word president. So as soon as somebody's saying that they're a president, automatically there should be red flags.
Where do you get that definition from?
Etymology dictionary. So even on that, the whole thing of, that's why when you engage people opposed to, throw them websites and whatever like that, make sure the websites you give them, online. Include those things. Include links for Black's Law Dictionary. Include links for unabridged dictionaries. So that the people that we're putting onto this information, they're not just reading it based on what they think they know. They're reading it based on, or they're learning based on what the word actually means. So automatically, as soon as that somebody says to them, I'm a judge. Oh, so that means you're an officer of the court then. Clearly you have jurisdiction over me. Because I'm not part of the court jurisdiction. Or I'm president. Oh, the CEO. Oh, so obviously you're engaged in business. If you're a president, you're not engaged in nationality and all that stuff. So if you're using this quote unquote business name, this business title under the guise of nationality, then you're really not putting people onto nationality. You're actually denationalizing, which is criminal in itself. Because these people should be saying grand whatever. If they're going to claim titles as far as governmental structure titles. They should be claiming the stuff in Morris and stuff, but they can't claim that because they don't have that authority to claim that. That's why they make up their own stuff and then start calling themselves judges and marshals and presidents and all this stuff, and people start taking them serious.
So really, in a nutshell, the president is the governor appointed by Rome to be the leader of a province.
Yeah, and the leader of persons. By definition, it says it too. By persons. Domination also a public office, public duty, unfair origin. I think it was president, a leader of persons. we already know persons is corporations.
So by
President can't rule
yeah.
countries. That's fraud.
So the
why
crime.
does everybody else have so-called kings and queens to rule countries? But over here, rule the country, they call it a president.
Or a prime minister.
Oh yeah, right.
Which are Roman venues. They could just be themselves. They could just be elevated and be higher than a president.
Is that the reason why back I believe 2014 that Pope Francis has written Obama suggesting that all Americans basically should register with the Vatican?
It's already registered. You know, we're gonna do it because the people are serfs. They want to be Negro, black, colored. They want to be dirty. They don't want to have responsibility. Force them to be right and act right. They want to be able to walk crooked. They want to walk crooked. They want to take the crooked path. They don't want the straight and narrow way. And again, it's like, you know, I was telling the brother, you even taking the position of talking about this and directly taking the travel to see me to get it straight is what this thing is about. You know, like you're already responsible. Like, you know, when we were riding to the park, you were talking with your daughter, and you were giving her sound advice. You're telling her something crazy, and you were giving her sound advice. You know, so I can say, well, and this is pre me knowing anything. I thought you found out about the temple and you're just coming to find out about Moors or whatever.
I was prevented.
You
But
know?
when I inquire about other models, I was told that it was not necessary. It's not important, you know, that what you call INR, or Jesus of the American Republic, is all that's necessary. So I was told by Judge Morris.
Oh yeah. I want you to also talk about this. Speak to the people about the discrepancies that I pointed out to you with regard to the identification.
Well, as a matter of fact, the identification card, you have two. One is an ID card, one is a driver's license. There's two issues.
Say that again.
There were two cards. One is actually an identification card, a mortgage identification card, or it's called the Priesthood American Republic identification card. Okay?
No, it said something else on there. Read that again from the top part. What it said.
No, I'm just going from memory now. I have to get a picture.
Oh yeah. Right.
The reason why is that the both parts were seized by Cameron and his team today, because I'm not sure to be a number.
But that's not a membership card. Didn't you say that that's a nationality card?
Right, so they're issuing a
See, I'm on point, right?
they tried to issue a nationality card and a driver's license.
They did not.
So they have an indigenous driver's license that they're issuing.
Really?
Yeah. And then they have an indigenous nationality card.
How do they do an indigenous tax card like they did in South Africa? You know what I mean?
Yeah, international. I get membership, for loose for the water church, but it's really a national ID card.
And you said they seized that?
Yes.
So,
In fact,
hold on a second. So, if they can seize the identification card, wouldn't that mean that they're exercising that power of attorney that you signed up for?
yeah, well, this thing, it's really, the card is the property of INA.
Oh, the card is the property of that. Oh, okay. So then that means that's not you on there then. Because remember how it's just kind of just loans again, suppose. No, because remember we were talking about earlier about common sense not being too common.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if that's your identification card that identifies you, then how come they didn't seize you? They just seized the card. Obviously, what was on the card wasn't you.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go again. Yeah,
This one's killing me. Oh boy.
Hold on a second. Remember what I told you earlier? That don't look at it from the wrong perspective. Recognize that they freed you.
right.
They actually freed you. They opened the door thinking you weren't gonna run. Right? Now there was another thing about the card we were talking about with how the name is written.
Yes. I think I'm just right at this speaking here. I'm trying to see if I have a picture of the card actually on my phone. In fact,
You going against the authority or whatever. When you're supposed to be critical, especially of something that's going to be your identification, that you're going to have to show somebody, that better be right and exact if you're saying that's you. That better not be vague.
well, I really felt because I said that the card is more than just a card. It's more, it's something that people use all the time and they want to be proud of it. And therefore, whenever somebody shows the card, for whatever reason, they ought to be able to feel proud of the card that they carry. But when a card, because of poor printing and so on, begins to fade out, and not only that, when they give the card for anyone in authority, see, and they try to make a copy of it in black, it turns out black, and you can't read anything. That does not add to the professionalism and the nation they belong to.
So okay, so let me ask you again. So if we're not supposed to be Negro black color, and then somebody makes a photocopy of that stuff and it comes out black, saying that the here is nationality and all that stuff, but you look black. You not contradicting yourself?
No, that's a whole different thing right there. I never even thought of that, but can't read nothing, or all your cards are black. Because when you have an ID card, it doesn't matter what it's done in color, black and white, it should look very good on paper once you
Right.
get comfortable.
Yeah.
And this was never the case.
No, we don't want to dwell too long, but I want you to put on the record what happened today because it was treasonous.
Yeah, this is
Like from the time of you going there, you don't have to say names. You know, you can just say the guys. We already know who you're talking about. And what the hell happened? Like, what happened when you got to the office?
Well, what happened was that I left home just shortly around after 10 o'clock to get to the office. My plan when I went there was to organize the office, for the rest of the week. There was a possibility of a couple of appointments I've had. I promised Cameron that I was going to do a spreadsheet beginning with January to the present time, outlining all the clients I dealt with, what monies was transferred to him, and what monies might be outstanding and that he should be transferred to him within current applications. I was a bit upset with the way things were handled, and I just said to him, look, I want out. I just want out. I want to close it. Whatever happens after that, fine. But right now, I want to make sure all the clients are looked after today. I'm not going to talk to anybody else, and I'm going to give you a spreadsheet and with all the activities, and we'll take it from there. If there's any money outstanding that I might owe to you or I know or whatever, that will be taken care of as well. Okay? And that is how we had left everything on Monday. And we also were meeting on Saturday. It so happened he told me he was going to Jamaica. It was supposed to be today.
Oh, hold on. Fun, before that, what was the thing called that they were going to do to you? I don't think you put that out there.
So, would you just backtrack a little bit? The question you asked and missed something.
You before them, you meeting them today or whatever, there was something going on with them and your computer or something like that because they were checking you or something like that?
Well, as a matter of fact, this was Cameron came to the office. And that was on Saturday. It was there Saturday. It was also there on Monday as well. And of course, he was saying to me that he came to do an audit on me. And so, okay, he wanted to do an audit on me. And he told me to sit, and he could not say anything unless he asked me a question. Well, I mean, that is something that, to me, I figure that I'm not a child, okay? And of course, he was going through my briefcase, went through my computer, and I said, okay, I'm going to go along with every email I have on my computer. But then I sat with him and went through all any email he wanted to look at, whatever he was looking for, I felt violated, but I felt, well, I will go along with it because I want to see where this was going to go.
Now, let me just, pardon the interjection, let me just add something in right here. Auditor, a public officer whose function is to examine and pass upon the accounts and vouchers of officers who have received and expended public money by lawful authority. An officer who examines accounts and verifies the accuracy of the statements therein. English law, an officer or agent of the crown or of a private individual or corporation who examines periodically the accounts of under officers, tenants, stewards, or bailiffs and reports the state of their actions of his principal. Practice, an officer or officers of the court, assigned to state the items of debt and credit between the parties in a suit where accounts are in question, and exhibit the balance. I thought they're a nation. How are you a nation and there's an auditor, which has to do with a public officer, a mere public officer? And then how you a president and an auditor at the same time? Isn't that a contradiction? Isn't that hypocrisy at its height? That the president is auditing you. Think about that. The president is auditing you.
Yeah. But all of that is what make me question things. I felt confused. I felt violated. I felt insulted. You know, and therefore, when all these emotions are going through my chance to cooperate, but and when somebody says to shut up and don't open your mouth unless I ask you a question. You know, and so I'm in my own office where I pay my own money for that way. You know, this isn't something given to me by INA or by Cham or anyone else. You know, and I'm not employed by you because he told me that that I am employed by him, and I am, you know, under his authority.
This is why they do the power of attorney and whatever, because they're really engaging in human trafficking, and people are paying for something that's inalienable, which can't be bought or sold or traded. If we look at this on the let's do that. Let's read that one. Let's read that one. Kavit Tor. Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is neither uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits and their insidious plans to invade such a realm. They try, but their own bad planning brings down the wrath upon their heads, like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunning find a difficult path travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so. This is where you come in, Elder. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Noble Ali knows the people within the ranks who are interested. They are the vanguard of the Moorish movement. As the Moorish hordes increase here in America, all of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road many years before, The prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers walk, where traitors grin, and the culprits bask in the sun. They think that they're on the same road with true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time, and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high, catch scent, devour, and leave crying out, Kavit and Tor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see these plotters, purveyors, the worst that exist, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawks wait. They ever tell you Noble Drew said that?
No.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, I didn't know Drew Ali said that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there's a lot to think about, but it's all right.
Well,
You're in the right place now.
well, I am going to report to you. I'll send you the spreadsheet tomorrow in the morning.
Yeah.
Of what I was proposing to give to Mr. Cameron Bay.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you an overview of all that I've done up to this point. And also, I feel that you being my mentor or coach, I did ask Cameron if he would coach me. And he told me that he's no coach, that that's how he read and finding out for myself. I can do the same.
Oh, stranger, that's interesting. The same stuff I told him. But we also told him that rvbaypublications.com if you're gonna go study on your own. Because the student is always ready. Because the student is the master that takes being a student seriously.
However, I believe that if somebody, I know that in years gone by, you used to have for apprentices where a gentleman or a young trade person would go under what you call a seasoned tradesman, and you learn the trade from someone who have experienced that profession or trade most of his life.
Exactly. But
from the master.
Right. But
you never left alone.
But the trade is know thyself. So for example, the 2 hours that we sat in the park, that was us doing that thing that you're talking about with the apprentice and the master.
Right.
I'm grand sheep.
Right.
I'm divine minister. I'm grand governor. I'm all those stuff. You've been sitting at the foot of the master. The master's telling you now, just like told Camry and all those people, that this is your birthright. You're gonna take this and you're gonna do something crazy that we never thought about doing, because you have your perspective that's integral to this, because we already seen it that you did it with these clowns and they took advantage of it because they're not really for the liberation of the people. just like Joali said, I know the Moors who are in the ranks and whatever. No Moors trying to come in here and mess up anything. A lot of guys this.
Wow.
Because the whole point is the student realizing that he's the master. You know what I mean? The master is waiting for the student to put him on, and the student's waiting for the master to give him the keys to the whatever. The master's looking at him like, bro, I didn't put the key in your pocket. The first day that you came here, I gave you those pants. You didn't have the key. Because it's supposed to be a revolving door, learning. A master is a student. A master is not the highest or whatever and all that stuff. It's a grand sheet that means something. Priesthood is dead. So since priesthood is dead, I put down the grand sheet. That means what? That something happened to Cujo or whatever. So what happened? No, Cujo's right here. Cujo's just a more before he's some title. Because I already know that the priesthood is dead. I already know that I'm not the master. I'm trying to be a master. It's all about being a student. Always learning. Always learning. Because the issue that you're going to have is you being dependent. You want to be dependent with knowledge, because look where that got you with these people.
That's about it. Canaanland Moore's dead priesthood still selling you out on YouTube. So again, this is just to put it out for Moors to see what level these people are at with their corruption or whatever. That's where they're at. So, we already know that doors always open and people are gonna, just like the elder's wife went out there and she found us or whatever. Right? People are gonna find this. You don't really have to go promote like that. But know that these criminals are active out here. So, it wouldn't hurt for us to be active as well in our engaging with people in our life, making sure that we're at least putting a little something out too. So these people are doing everything that they can to get everybody and anybody out here who has a weak mind. And obviously they're getting them.
While perverting.
Yeah, perverting the lessons and the teachings. Yeah.
Which is the same problem that we're facing through it all.
So I was going to ask a question. Part
Yeah.
of what Dennis giving on an indigenous nationality card was the indigenous license travel card. Their nationality card isn't like what we get administered to.
No, it's a different design. But same concept, name, address, height, hair color, whatever like that. Title on the top, flags on it, same idea. But theirs is from the Moorish nation. Theirs is from indigenous, whatever that they do. And then they call their right to travel a license, a driver's license. Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Their right to travel is a license. Yeah.
Okay. Still out in there and Brampton.
Yeah, still going hard. Any other comments, questions? You could throw those out. You have something there, isn't it? Sure.
I have an overdraw. He says, but I would hear him say it. Just cease wearing their Yeah, and then your nationality card and your phone.
Yeah.
What one is talking about?
Yeah, they used to give pins. Moorish American Circle 7 pins, Moorish American pins. Yeah, like it's pretty much just saying, you know, give up all the stuff, even down to the pin that you have that's Moorish. Give that up too. Not a specific type of pin that used to be given out or whatever. Right? Like if you're not gonna be down with this all the way, then give up everything, basically.
That's right. Don't go around wearing it and misrepresent.
Right, misrepresenting what this is. Right.
Islam Morris.
Islam Morris.
We're reading from our Holy Quran, the Morris Science Temple of America, 37, divinely prepared by Prophet Muhammad Jari. Yasunel. I'm going to read from one of the bigger versions of the Quran. So if you're using the smaller one, it's page 69 and it's chapter 27, the holy unity of the rich and the poor. Give honors to the Prophet, give honors to our ancestors who came before. And we're still here now. The holy unity of the rich and the poor. The man to whom Allah hath given riches and blessed him with a mind to employ them aright is peculiarly favored and highly distinguished. He looketh on his wealth with pleasure because it affordeth him the means to do good. He protecteth the poor that are injured. He suffereth not the mighty to oppress the weak. He seeketh out objects of compassion. He inquireth in their wants. Yes. He relieveth them with judgments and without ostentation. He assisteth and rewardeth merit. He encouraged ingenuity and liberally promoteth every useful design. He carrieth his own great works. His country is enriched, and the labor is employed. He formeth new schemes, and the arts receive improvement. He considers the superfluities of his table, and belonging to the poor of his neighborhood, and he defraudeth them not. The benevolence of his mind is not checked by his fortune. He rejoices therefore in riches, and his joy is blameless. But woe unto him that heapeth up wealth in abundance, and rejoiceth alone in the possession thereof, that grindeth the face of the poor, and considereth not the sweat of their brows. He driveth on oppression without feeling. The ruin of his brother disturbeth him not. So perfect for what we're talking about earlier, right? He driveth on oppression without feeling. The ruin of his brother disturbeth him not. The tears of the orphan he drinketh as milk. The cries of the widow are music to his ears. His heart hardened with the love of wealth. No grief or distress can make impression upon him. But the curse of iniquity pursueth him. He liveth in continual fear. The anxiety of his mind and the rapacious desires of his own soul take vengeance upon him for the calamities he has brought upon others. Oh, what are the miseries of poverty in comparison with the gnawings of this man's heart? Let the poor man comfort himself. Yes, rejoice, for he has many reasons. He sitteth down in his morsel in peace. His table is not crowded with flatterers and devourers. He is not embarrassed with the train of dependents, nor teased with the clamors of solicitations. Debarred from the dainties of the rich, he escapeth also their diseases. The bread that he eateth is not so sweet to his taste, The water he drinketh is not so pleasant to his thirst, yea, far more delicious water than the richest draughts of the luxurious. His labor preserveth his wealth, his health. His labor preserveth his health, and procureth him a repose, to which the dowy bed of sloth is a stranger. He limiteth his desires with humility, and the calm of contentment is sweeter to his soul than all the acquirements of wealth and grandeur. Let not the rich therefore presume on his riches, nor the poor in his poverty yield to deep despondence. For the providence of Allah dispenseth happiness to them both. Let me read that again. Let not the rich therefore presume on his riches, his poverty yield to despondence. For the providence of Allah dispenseth happiness to them both. Islam.
Islam.
That was the holy unity of the rich and the poor. Verse 11 and 12. Speak loud and know the tears of the orphans he drinketh as milk. The cries of the widow are music to his ears. His heart hardeneth with the love of wealth. No grief or distress can make impression upon him.
Any other thoughts on chapter 27?
Omar, how you say you pronounce that word? Fluidity? It's not fluidity?
Superfluity. Superfluities. Superfluities.
Pardon?
Superfluities.
Consider the
No, the other ones
superfluities of
except
the table.
ingenuity too.
Yeah, ingenuity. I knew that word. Just
No, it's not weird when you look at the word.
all the actions thing were next to me. See, that's super fluidity.
So we're also looking maybe before the end of the summer, which is the next 3 to 4 weeks, to try and get maybe one of our classes in the park. Or is that sort of the one we're looking at? Cities at Christie Fits, right? So
We're trying to run on Sunday or Saturday.
Because what happened was I went over to the place we're also looking to have a camp day out. But it seems it's going to be kind of complicated right now at this place. And maybe because we've got a limited time, you might want to set that off. We're talking about only 6 people are allowed on per campsite. So yeah, and so it's 2 adults and 4 children. So let's say you want to have 20 people there, you have to rent 4 campsites, right? They have to hopefully all be together in a row. And then for each of the 4 children that you're substituting for 4 adults, you then have to pay a $5 surcharge.
It's so silly.
Yeah, so what we were saying was,
It's so silly.
Sorry, with the 2 children, I mean, with the 2
So
adults and 4
let's say you
children.
have a
no
campsite
fee.
that gives you two adults and 4 children. If you want to opt into the 4 children and bring 4 adults instead, you can't do that.
$20
It's $20 extra. And then you're limited to just six, right? They do have one big spot where you can have 30 cars and up to 30 people, which is then what I want to do. But I think they were talking about that being $250 a night. A day for that spot, and you have to rent it for a 2-day minimum. So then I was thinking, well, what the hell, right? I just sort of inquiring.
yeah.
Let's
So
go, right? Take over. So,
We just go.
where?
There, where we gotta do.
No, what I thought was, why don't we, like, remember we had a barbecue at the Brittany place in the Bluffs, right? Go down there and just get there in the morning and just set up shop and make it a 1-day thing versus a 2-day thing.
One day we meet, so we don't spend the night.
Well, I don't think it's going to be. It's. I'm sure we can spend the night wherever we want, but if you're in one of their so-called parks, which are our parks that they've taken, and you're setting up your tents and stuff, I gotta imagine there's probably going to be someone may run up on us at a point, talk and say,
Come on, get some s'mores.
All right, and then part of that too, I was thinking about that too. I definitely should have lightning fire in the park without it actually being an actual sort of spot organization. Cujo was then saying, well, what we're really talking about is just having another barbecue. You can get in the park and have food and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I feel like look at the weather out here, right? So I feel like I want to do some surveying. One of my thoughts was either that place in Brimley or Hyde Park. They have Hyde Park, there's an area in Hyde Park where they've got 15, 20 benches. And so if you just show up there, I feel I'd show up there 8 or 9 in the morning, and just sort of hold it, and then bring one of my chairs that I bring to the basketball court, that one that you put on the that one that you have to fold out, and just sit down and let's have a day. So that's my plan. But it looks like
August?
well, I'm thinking of it's 18. 18.
17, 18, huh?
Yeah.
Are we still online?
Yeah.
We don't want too many people here.
Well, anyway, so we can, and I can too, and I'll totally look at it, we can talk about it when we get out. But anyway, so that's what I'm looking to do. So we can figure that out. I'm going to drive around a couple spots, or navigate around to a couple of spots and see what they're like. But I figure for this year right now, because of the short notice, because anything else, that place that I was looking to get to was in the city. Anything else is going to be out of the city, and then like Cooper says, it's going to be about people getting there, all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, we're moving ahead, but certain logistical things. Like if you have a bus, and maybe we can have people show up here at 11, and we have a 40-person bus, and people can jump on, and maybe we can go somewhere, right? But and a lot of our issues obviously are due to occupation and those kind of things, right? So. Yeah, that's it. Oh, but then we're looking to start up in mid-September, a group called Wisdom of the Womb, which will be happening every other Saturday, every other Sunday. Sister Naya, you will be doing, hopefully, which I can explain again. So the format of this would be, the first hour will be kind of yoga or this
Dance.
Or something, or dance, whatever the form that you're going to explain to us. Then the next hour will be sort of a focus on the feminine issues, feminine energy issues. That's just a very sort of root score. We're going to start looking at the issues as to getting our empresses back and getting them running the show again, what that's going to take. And my feeling is, I've been talking with Mocha, and from my observation, and I feel that I feel like I have a certain, I think I have a right to be able to talk on this, to say that I think that this isn't just solely a woman's issue. I think this is all of our issue. Brother Yusun here is running something during the week for the men. Not to say it's solely for the men, but I really think it's time that we need to get the Empress's stuff really cooking and going. And because we know that once they get it, this is over. So one of the things that's going to be happening too is once a month I'm going to be finding the funds myself to have an open, this was a brunch. And this will be a brunch that will be offered to the dues-paying empresses who are paying. They will get free food, and their offspring will get free food once a month at the brunch. Anyone else can then will be able to compensate five principals catering and stuff. So I'm feeling that, and then we're also looking to have that in collaboration with some kind of mode to have the young ones being entertained while this is going on. All right, so that'll be mid-September, and then I think we might go back to Ottawa, right? In October, maybe. Maybe I heard that was.
I think it was Ottawa you were saying.
Yeah.
I believe October. Yeah.
So anyways, but I mean, we're here already in August, right? So just looking to give everyone the what's up and coming.
Islam. Any other questions, comments?
Huh? No, that's what I'm saying.
So when do you think we would know what if we're gonna do that the camp out or not?
Well, I see the camp out for this year needs to be probably put on. As I said, I'm that guy. I'll be at Algonquin Park. I'm just feeling like the idea that I had, I don't think it's going to pan out in the way that I want it to pan out. Because as I said, let's say there's 11 people here right now. So I would have to get at least 2 spots, but I can imagine maybe 15 to 20 people coming by there. So that would mean I'd have to get 3 to 4 spots, all in hopefully, in the same area, and then have them for that day. So I just sort of feel like, as I said, I'm still looking to do the work to do that research. No, I'm not talking about a Algonquin like that. I was talking about this place, the Huge Valley there. But as I said, and when I went through there doing the survey yesterday, it's very tight in there. It's real tight. Like everyone's like boom, 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 boom. And I could tell that there were certain people that had done exactly what I'd said, like they'd gotten 3 or 4 of them together and they were sort of all there. There are some nice spots to me that are sort of in the corners, which I like. But yeah, I sort of felt that maybe what makes sense is just to take one of the Sundays, and like you said, you soon let's go to Christy Pitts. And I'm about that. So,
I like that idea too. I was looking forward to the whole overnight thing, but maybe not this year, right? But Christy Pitts is lovely for its space.
Yeah, as I said,
It's got apocalypse across the street. It's got apocalypse across the street.
Vegan pizza shop.
And I'm about taking the, I'll do my due diligence on Tuesday to take a look at it and make it happen on the other end. But just like you were saying too, that maybe for this year, because one of the issues we probably will run into that I have yet to even communicate with them is that the stuff may be booked. Right? Looking at
What's that?
I'm just saying, like, because I'm saying when I rode through the campsite, every spot was pretty much taken. So what I'm feeling is that most people tend to make their plans at least a month plans. We're looking at trying to get something done in 2 weeks. It may not be that sort of it may not happen that we get the spots all together, and then they may not even have that many spots, and they only have 1 or 2 spots. So then what are we going to do, right? I just really feel like it's important for us to get one more time out. Cujo was saying about going to an event or doing something, but I sort of feel like I prefer to have it sort of, just with sort of the Moors, which is sort of at an event. But anyways, food for thought, and we can figure that all out next week.
Are there any more events coming up this summer?
What?
That we could go to? Because I think they were talking about us going to the event, but
Yeah, but I was saying that's what I was saying to him. Is like, what are you talking about? Like, we did a jazz festival and we all just go there and hang out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not against any of that, whatever it is. I just sort of, one of my energies is to try and get us doing stuff culturally together out there for ourselves, to strengthen ourselves.
then why not do both?
Well, and that's there too. But what I find is that when you're in, like, for example, going to Afric Fest or something, half of it's sort of like engaging with all those people as well, right? Which I always find is a bit, it is what it is. But, it's like at the barbecue. I enjoy the barbecue for just being family. If that makes sense.
We could still be around whoever and still just be around family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
For anybody that's interested, we're doing yoga tomorrow at Plus. For anybody that's coming by GTC, we're meeting at Kennedy Subway at 11:30. And then we're going to go down to the Grove. So, yeah.
Any questions or any comments?
I want to comment on what you're assuming was reading. The very last sentence you talked about, if you don't mind reading that again, because I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
It's not one to look at. The holy unity of the rich and the poor, chapter 27, verse 22. Let not the rich therefore presume on his riches, nor the poor in his poverty yield to deep despondence. For the providence of Allah dispenseth happiness to them both.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor, you're gonna get a lot of providence. I thought I looked up providence. Yeah, it says, here we go. It's a noun. Providence, divine guidance or care. That's the very first definition. Yeah. Oh, I said a noun, yeah. The quality of God power, sustaining and guiding human destiny. The quality or state of being providence. So, you know, I guess if you're poor, it's not fun kind of thing. If you got money, maybe it's, you know, things are easier, but I think what they're trying to say in that last little part is that
It doesn't come from material things.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And I mean, all through the passage, you were saying about how some rich people don't even think about anybody else, you know what I mean? So how do you be rich in that sense? You know, you can't be rich, really. What kind of rich is that if you got everything and you're watching your neighbor go hungry, you know?
They use providence in the movie thing as well, a lot, Matrix.
Yeah.
So there's always like the providence is kind of like the opposite of, in that sense, the opposite of chance or coincidence, something happening by accident, like, oh, I was bumped in the thing by accident or by chance, or the coincidence I won't. So I always say, like, especially with the meaning of coincidence, it seems like they're saying it's chance, like it's coincidental that this thing happened. But then I think about the root word within that word, like coincide.
Yeah.
So things actually coincide, like they meet up where they're supposed to, right? So providence is that action where it's not by chance or it's not by accident, it's meant to be. It's divine, it's designated, right? It's designed that way. So, and anything Allah does is always providence.
It's love. Yeah.
Even like mishaps that we might consider things that are not in our favor or benefit or whatnot. It still happened for a reason, and the lesson is in there to be learned. Right? We got to take the wisdom out of it and find out the reason why it happened. And learn from it.
That's probably one of the hardest things to do. To go through some hardships and have to find the good out of it.
Any other questions, comments?
So walking and then trying to keep your head up, keeping an eye out for the silver lining. While you're trying to walk and see the silver lining.
That's right.
So what about Herbert Downs? You guys familiar with that place? Are we not going to happen, or we still want to do that?
I know Yusu's good and I'm good for what are you talking about?
Herbert Downs. Like,
Why don't we still want Herbert?
Yeah.
Why don't we just
That's it, we good. We're ready to close out? No more questions?
Do a prayer.
Christopher and Maximus.
You want to do the prayer first?
Yeah.
You did it today? A few of us here last week got an episode.
What happened?
You forgot? You got ready? We'll call them over, yeah.
Christopher and Maximus.
Maximus and Christopher.
What, Dad?
That's how powerful it is, and then you have to project. Wow.
It's like that. Uh-oh.
Father on the left, two on right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
By day.
His holy prophet.
His holy prophet.
Noble Juali. Ashe. Islam. Islam was. Yeah, we're good.
So what are you saying there, Kiva?